Hi, I'm Chris.
And I'm Tovah, and welcome to Chris and Tovah's Amazing Adventures. Today's video is all about f.i.r.e, which is Financial Independence, Retire Early, and this is a topic that's near and dear to our heart. Our plan is to retire at 45, and we're a year and a half away. So today we're going to lay out how we got there and 5 simple steps that you can follow to bring you on the path of f.i.r.e. too. So one of the most important steps is setting goals. How much money do you need to retire? What does your retirement look like? How much money do you need to save? That's what you really need to figure out first. So take the time to figure out what your retirement would look like. Where do you want to live? What kind of money do you want to spend? Are you living really frugally, or are you living a little bit more high on the hog? So once you figure out your retirement budget, then you can really backtrack your savings from there to find out how much money you need so that you can retire.
We highly recommend working with a financial advisor or investment specialist. They will guide you in the right direction. That's their full-time job. They work their ass off to go and get the money, because when you make money, they make money. If you feel comfortable and have the time, you can talk to multiple institutions, financial investors at many of the large banks or at independent investment firms.
So we're pretty financially savvy, but we've found that working with a good financial advisor has really helped our money really grow exponentially, more than we would have been able to grow it just on our own. So it's worth the time to shop around and find somebody really good. And one important thing to remember when you're goal setting and you're looking at saving money is to get away from that attitude of you want to keep up with the Joneses, because the Joneses are going to retire at 65. Real estate is another great opportunity for investing money. So you should think about buying a property or buying a home as really kind of a good long-term savings account. But it is important to make sure that if you're looking at buying real estate, you really are paying attention to what's happening in the market, and you ideally want to buy a property or invest in a property that is lower at the time and has the potential to increase in value. So that's where you're really going to make the most equity on the property. Not only are you paying down the mortgage, but the value of the home is going up over time.
Think of buying a property as an investment. If you put 5% down on a $200,000 home, after say 10 years, it gains 5%, you've doubled your money.
So real estate has been a really big part of our f.i.r.e. journey. We were fortunate enough to live in a location where the property value was low when we arrived, and we were frugal with our money, and we were able to get into some real estate investments. So currently we have 4 rental properties plus our primary home, the house that we live in. So that has been a big portion of how we've invested our money, because we've been in the right place with the right opportunity to do that. So not every location, not every town is it going to be right to buy investment properties, just because the value is maybe not going to go up as much. But certainly really looking at buying your principal residence or your primary home as opposed to renting is almost always going to make you money.
Over the past 15 years, we have moved a total of 5 times. Each time we've moved, we've gained equity and value.
When we were at our real estate peak, we owned 7 properties, including our principal residence. And then to make a little extra money on the side, we also managed 20 condo units, 3 individual houses for other people, as well as managing our own rentals. So obviously, if you want to retire early and you're looking for financial independence, you need to save money. So on top of real estate, we also contribute to a lot of different investment funds, things like RSPs, TFSAs, dividend funds, stocks. And I think one of the most important factors to consider is to be paying attention to your investments and make sure that you are at minimum making 3%, which is kind of the general rule of inflation. So if you're not even making 3% on investments, you're essentially losing money. That's why it's really important and worth its weight in gold to work with a good financial investor, because they're going to know this and they're going to make sure that they're getting you more than 3%. And then depending on your risk tolerance, most people would be a little bit more non-risk adverse and be willing to get a little bit more gains. So more so looking for something like 5 to 8 or 5 to 12% return on investment.
You want to make sure that you're comfortable with your risk tolerance. You have to be able to accept and understand that there's going to be times when you lose $10,000, $20,000 or more, in hopes that on that downturn that you're going to invest a little more into the market for it to return. The market always returns back higher than it was previously. It just takes time.
We have it set up so that every month money is automatically withdrawn from our bank account and goes straight into our investment account. That way, you never really miss the money, and it gives you the opportunity to not put all your eggs in one basket. So how much money should you be saving every month? Well, that really reverts back to step number 1. You need to know what your budget is and how much money you need to save, and then work towards putting that amount of money into your investment account so that your money will grow and be ready for you when you're ready to retire.
So when we retire, we're not going to rely on a single source of income or on our investments. We're going to go and have my pension, which will come immediate, and her pension will come 10 years later. And we're also going to go and have our investments work for us so we can live off the interest and live comfortably. We live very frugal in a way. We don't spend a lot of money on possessions and things. We tend to spend more money on experiences and travel. Our vehicles are older. We bought them used. Our cell phones are 5 years old. She has an iPhone 6. I have an iPhone 6S. We don't have the top-of-the-line TV. We don't have satellite. We just have Netflix and the internet. We just rather go out and experience life than have possessions time us down to our home.
Yeah, we find really when you're thinking long-term, we're thinking of this big goal of retiring early. You know what? That's more important to us than having the latest cell phone. I can live with an iPhone 6 if it means that we can retire early. So that's something really to keep in mind when you're planning your budget and planning your life. You might be making some small sacrifices along the way to save that money, to be frugal, but it's really going to pay off in the long run, and we know that that's going to make us more happy. That said, we do think it's important to enjoy the journey and live along the way. So while we are very frugal in the things that we buy and we try to live a more minimalist lifestyle, we do spend money on travel. We travel several times a year, and that's what we choose to spend our money on rather than buying the latest this and that. So the last step of our plan to retire early is having a bit of a side hustle. So we think it's really important to have a part-time job, do something that you can make a little bit of extra money on, because it can make a big difference over time. So you can save that little bit of extra money that you make at your side gig and put it right into your investments, and it can grow for you. or that can be the money that you use for fun. So for us, we like to save that money, and that's our travel money. And that means that we don't have to take that money out of our savings or out of our 9-to-5 paychecks. So I have a yoga studio at our house, and I teach yoga a couple of nights a week. We also have our several rental properties, so they bring in income and they keep us quite busy. That's another part-time job and a half.
Thank you very much for joining us today. I hope that you can find this information informative and find your own financial independence and retire early.
We'll see you next time.